What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for all you rascals and rapscallions out there. Now, for today's movie review, we're going to be talking about a film that caught my attention the first time I heard of it. I watched this about a month ago, and for some reason, I'm just now doing the review now, and that is 1988's Japanese cult classic horror film, Evil Dead Trap. Now, by the name, you can see why it caught my attention. Obviously, when you hear Evil Dead, you think of 1 and 2, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell. So I was kind of surprised to hear of Evil Dead Trap. Never heard of this before. So I had to pick it up. This was pretty much a blind buy, but let me tell you guys what it's about for the most part. Now, this woman here with the gun, I don't remember any of these characters' names. It was all in subtitles, and it was about a month ago. But she has like this TV show where she's in a radio station. She gets like videos sent into her from viewers, and she watches them and kind of gives like a synopsis about it or whatever. And one of the films she gets sent to her is like a snuff tape of this girl getting her eyeball poked out and skin all cut up, all this nasty ass shit. And it gets her so shook that she wants to kind of investigate. So rather than calling the police, she gets some of her news worker people from the news station. Maybe she just wanted like the scoop before the police could get it. I don't know. But they go to this location because the tape that was sent into her had an address on it. And they want to find out if this is real or fake. And quickly they realize it is very, very real as the slasher up top starts picking them off one by one. So, I mean, pretty basic plot, but the execution is very complex and fucking insane. I mean, would we expect anything else from a horror movie from Japan in the 80s? I wouldn't say this film is as fucked up as like, how do you say, Tatsu the Iron Man or Rikio or that weird ass like Pinocchio movie from the 90s, but it is pretty fucking crazy. Now, this plays off as a pretty basic slasher through the first 2 acts, but into the third it goes absolutely batshit crazy. So first and foremost, I'll obviously talk about what I liked in this film, which I actually, not to jump ahead, there's not too much I don't like about this film. I would say maybe it drags a little bit in certain areas. Anyways, back to what I like. These characters are all really fun. They're likable. That's a big thing for me. I mentioned in all these videos that like, if you're not a character I invest in, I don't really care if you get killed. You know what I mean? You want to invest in these people to care enough to want to see them escape their ultimate fate in a horror film. But anyways, yeah, these characters were pretty fun. It was shot pretty good. Decent music in this film. It had the score to it that was very reminiscent of Day of the Dead. Like that dun 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 dun. You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. The practical effects in this movie are awesome. Some of the goriest shit I've ever seen. And I'm going to give some spoilers here because this might be what gets some of you horror fans, horror heads out there to actually pull the trigger and check this one out. So in this opening snuff film that she gets sent to her, they pretty much have a shot-for-shot like remake almost of The Wood in the Eye from Dario Argenti. No, Dario Argenti didn't. What the fuck? Lucio Fulci. Couldn't fuck that up. But yeah, pretty much shot for shot with that wood in the eye where this girl's getting tortured. And this is one of the hardest practical effects scenes I've ever seen to watch. I had to look away. The wood goes in her eye and all this pus comes out. It is fucking disgusting, you guys. Like, gnarly. And the killer's cutting her all up in the beginning. It's some gruesome shit. And yeah, so after, like I said, after she sees that, the lead, she wants to go investigate all this. And she's a really good lead. I like this girl, whoever she is. I don't know. I know I'm bouncing all over the place, but you guys are used to that with my videos. But anyways, yeah, as things go on, things get more like supernatural and a lot more crazy. There's like this side guy who comes in, and he's got like this inner killer inside of him. I don't know, it's hard to describe. I'd say, speaking of things I didn't like, again, there is a rape scene in this movie, which I could always go without that in any film that I'm watching. But yeah, this movie plays out perfectly as a fun slasher film from the first 2 acts. This movie has one of the craziest death scenes I've ever seen in my life in any horror film. I'm going to give a full spoiler for this. So, the lead girl, one of her friends, gets held captive at one point, and she is like tied up to like this target, like this target board or whatever, and she's like got this ball gag in her mouth, and she's kind of like trying to get help, and all these like TV screens are playing through this like warehouse because they're at like this compound the whole time looking for the slasher, and her friend hears her and she runs to this door to try to get in, and we have this long drawn out shot, probably a little too long for my liking, but it's this long drawn out shot where as she's pulling on the door, there's like this metal wiring attached to the door, and it goes all the way to this trigger on a crossbow that's aimed right at her friend who's tied up to this target. So when she pulls the door open, the crossbow is going to shoot her. So she gets the door open, all this tension builds, shoots right at her, right at the side of her head, misses her. And you think, oh, okay. You know, she's fine. And as she walks in to untie her friend, there's actually like a tripwire in front of her feet. When she trips on that, it sets off like this giant medieval blade that just comes swinging down like 13 Dead End Drive. And it's all practical effects. It cuts right into the side of this girl's face, cuts right into her, and her face just starts to slide off. And it is one of the fucking craziest kills I've ever seen. Like, it reminds me of like Saw, you know, it was like all these traps set up, Evil Dead trap. And whether you have to YouTube this or watch the whole movie, which I suggest, this is something you guys need to check out. It's worth it just for that scene. That was crazy. And then as we get into the third act, this is where this movie becomes very Japanese horror to me, because everyone knows Japanese horror films are fucking nuts. So this guy that's been kind of around, like the stranger who's been acting like he's trying to help, gets discovered as being the slasher at the end by this girl. But it turns out he has like this entity inside of his body that's like his dead little brother, who's the one who's doing like the supernatural kills, while the physical brother is doing like the killing in person. It's like they're competing over these kills, and he has like this human body of his brother inside of him or something, telling him what to do, but also being supernatural. I don't know, man. It wasn't making much sense to me when I watched it. And then she gets into it with this guy, and he ends up having the spirit brother like rips out of his stomach and into like a fetus and starts going after the girl. And then it just, I'm not going to explain anymore after that. It gets fucking crazy. And when you think it's all done, there's even another twist at the very, very end. So, yeah, it's hard for me to really review something like this. It's kind of like its own anatomy in a way, you know what I mean? If it was just following the regular pace with the character development, the way it was shot with the soundtrack and the practical effects as a slasher, I would suggest this movie as is. But like I said, with those two kills alone and the way this wraps up in the third act, it's kind of like you have to see this to believe it. This movie is fucking nuts. Crazy. I suggest you guys checking this one out. It was well worth it. I wasn't bored at any time during this movie. It wasn't perfect by any means. I can't really nitpick what I didn't like necessarily off the top of my head, because it's been a minute since I watched it, but I'm still able to remember like these very vivid things in the storyline. I mean, the things I would pick apart are just subjective, because at the end of the day, this was a pretty fun horror movie. You just got to, you got to be ready to read the subtitles to really understand it. But at the same time, with how this plays out, you could just throw this on, not pay attention, have some friends over or whatnot. But yeah, this was a very fun movie that I suggest to anybody to check out if you're a horror fan. I love finding movies like this I never heard of that become like a classic in my book. This was pretty much a split between like Giallo films and like Evil Dead, if you can picture that, with like a slasher mentality in it. And you can check this out. You can rent it on YouTube or Amazon Prime for $1.99, but I picked up the physical copy for $20 on Amazon. And yeah, what is this? Unearthed Classics. What? Don't know what company this is, but they did a pretty good job. This is kind of like reminiscent to some Scream Factory releases, where I was surprised to get a slipcover with this awesome artwork on it. And then it also has the original artwork with a reversible artwork. It's got the new artwork in there, but you can flip it over and get the original artwork, at least what I think is the original artwork, which is pretty crazy. If I seen that as a kid, I would think, what the fuck, you know? But yeah, this is a pretty good movie. We got some commentary on here. Looks like making of, so some decent special features. Yeah, this is one I would suggest picking up. I would say this is my favorite Japanese horror film at this point. I don't watch much Japanese films, much foreign films for that matter. I'm getting more into it nowadays. If I hear of a good foreign film, I like to pick it up. But yeah, 100% I suggest this. This movie is fucking crazy. If you're a horror fan, if you have any ounce of horror in you, you are going to love this film. I guarantee it. So yeah, hope everybody's having, hope everyone had a good Halloween. I'm pretty bummed it's over, but it is what it is. It's getting pretty chilly in November here in Michigan. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Let me know if you guys have ever heard of this or seen it in the comments below. Give me any suggestions of any films you want me to cover. And yeah, let me know what you guys have been watching. You know, I'll be quick to respond in the comments. I like talking with you guys. I like this little horror community I've become a part of over the years. So yeah, watch some good horror movies today. Other than that, Blood, Guts, Gore. I'll check you guys next time.